Mate, that'd be lovely. All right, whoosh, we're back. Squeeze the Deck podcast. I'm back at GB Top Team with my mate from the other day and my new mate, Danny Cassius Connor. Dan, thanks for doing this, mate.
Nice one, mate. Cheers.
Nice. So as we said before, we boxed a couple of my club mates. We've got all kinds of things to talk about today, mate. We've got a bout coming up. So before we start, mate, I know you, I don't know you from it, but you first came onto my radar when you boxed Ricky Boylan, really. Yeah. Battle of Carshalton sticks in my mind. So I'm assuming you're from Carshalton originally.
I am, mate. Yeah, I grew up in Hackbridge when I was grew up from Hackbridge. I lived on Mill Green, which is an estate just up from Hackbridge, and then I moved a bit further up the road. But yeah, I grew up in Hackbridge and like all around that area, Carshalton and that. Yeah. Nice.
And what was you a boxer straight away? Because I've seen on your profile you something to do with Carshalton Football Club as well.
Do you know what? When I started boxing, my first ever time I went to a club, I was probably about 12, and there was a gym up at Rose Hill, like up by the roundabout. But it used to be opposite KFC when we was younger, and there was some good boys there. There was like a few travelling boys there: Billy Smith, Terry Green, Wally Smith. There was another one. Ricky Beasley was there. Who was a good fighter from Roundley Manor. But I sort of missed him a little bit, and I was like a raw novice when I went there. I remember going in. My old man took me there and just left me to my own devices. And I remember sparring, watching them on the bag, and I remember sparring this novice guy. We did jab and parry. And he caught me with a jab in the nose, and that was it, mate. I didn't go back after that. And then we moved up to Nottingham when I was about 15, I think I might have been 14 or 15. And the guy whose house we started renting, his name was Trevor, but he had like an affiliation with like a local boxing gym in Nottingham. And I started going. He come around the house one day and he was talking about boxing. And my mum was like, he does boxing. Like, obviously, I went once when I was like 12. Sorry, he went, yeah. She was like, he does boxing. Like, and he was like, do you want to come to the gym? And she was like, yeah, we'll go. Because I obviously had no mates up there at that time. So I went to the gym. I walked into the gym and it was like, there was a fella called Javid Khalik was there. He was like IBO world champion. Ricardo Sams, who was like an England international. A really good fighter. If you look back on him, Ricardo Sam's top fighter from Nottingham. Carl Froch was there as an amateur.
Still an amateur back then?
Yeah, he was an amateur then. There was a kid, Lee Wood. Yeah,
of course, yeah.
Lee Wood was he must have been 12 or 13. Kid, yeah. And the gym was like full of pros, good amateurs. Lee Morris, another good kid from up that way. And Tyan Booth. Tyan was there as well, you know Tyan.
Yeah, I remember the name, yeah.
He does like controversial podcasts now. But,
does he?
Yeah, he's always slagging people off and that. But he was a pro fighter as well. But as an amateur, we was all there, and our head coach, his name was Fidel Castro Smith. He was at the Ingles gym when he was a pro. He boxed Henry Wharton for the British title. I thought he beat Henry Wharton, but he didn't get the decision. Like, he was there with Johnny Nelson and Naz and all that. So we were sort of brought up on the Ingle style boxing.
Nice.
So that was my first sort of introduction to boxing when I first got into it in Nottingham. And like I said, I think I was about 17. I moved back to London. At this time, my mum had gone and moved to Spain, so I was sort of on my own. I came back to London when I was 17, 18, and I went to Rose Hill because obviously that was the local gym. I didn't really know much about it. I just thought I've been boxing up there, so I want to come back. So I went to Rose Hill, and back at that time it had moved to a bit more over the back where the roundabout is on Green Lane. And it was honestly, mate, it was like a fucking, sorry swearing, it was like a Spartan. Yeah, it was like a Spartan camp in there, mate. Honestly, it was like the gym was tiny. Honestly, it was probably, people can't see this office, but it was probably twice of this office.
Yeah,
like wide.
Small place,
yeah,
like a big bedroom.
The ring was literally like this sort of size.
Yeah,
and we used to go in. Our trainer Ian, God rest his soul, he's dead now. Ian Gafford, really good geezer. Used to look after us all proper. We used to go into the gym and he'd go, right, everyone, get your wraps on. We get our wraps on. We used to do 5 laps of the park outside, back in, gloves on, gum shields on, straight in, and that was it. That was how we was. And we'd have wars in there. There was me, a fella called Paul West, who was he done MMA after, but he was probably about 85 kilo at the time, and we were all 69, a bit younger. But we used to spar with each other. A fella called Dean Taylor as well. He passed away, God rest his soul. Dave Abley, he also passed away. There's a few lads that have been there, and obviously they're not here now. But the gym was wicked. We had old pros that were there. Tom Williams, he was 2 when I was a pro as well. The gym was just full of wicked fighters, mate, and it was just like we was all around the same sort of level, like novice-y, like sort of amateurs. But we used to just bash the shit out of each other, and the ring was tiny. Like you'd just stay in, you'd spar with everyone. But that was sort of my my education into my first sort of few amateur bouts. I think I had 3 or 4 bouts with them, and then I moved to the lodge.
All right, okay.
Yeah, I was at the Fitzroy Lodge. When I went there was like, I remember walking in the first time. Ian took us sparring there. And we walked in, and I remember walking in, and like, obviously you've been to the lodge yourself, I expect. When you go in, it's like it's like a proper old school boxing gym, ain't it?
Proper, arching it, yeah.
And I remember walking in there and seeing like I think Ahmet Patterson was sparring Anthony Small in the first ring.
Oh wow, all right.
Yeah, like do you remember Little Terry? I don't know if you remember him. There was a little flowerweight called Terry. Went to the Commonwealth Games and that he was sparring.
Oh, I do remember him. Yes, I do remember him.
Really good he was, and the gym was just full of top class. And I remember walking in there and thinking, oh mate, like this is the place to be. Do you know what I mean? We did a bit of sparring and that, and I met obviously Mickey Carney and Mark Reigate. Adam Martin was there at the time as well.
Shout out Adam Martin, he's been on the
Adam Martin's my guy, mate. He's one of my good friends.
Yeah.
And I remember coming out of the gym and thinking, oh mate, this is where I need to be. Like this is the place, because I've been at Rosehill a couple of years, and I think I got a little bit stale. And my trainer at the time, the main reason I left, Ian was like working more with the bus. He was a bus driver, so we weren't seeing him as much. And we had another trainer called Joe Harley. He was wicked, really good trainer, fit as a fiddle. Like all the boys love Joe Harley. Like he's been around the game for years. And Joe like packed it in. He was just, I'm not doing it no more. Like he's always been in and out. He was like, I've had a bit of time like with the fam. I want to have to spend some time with my family. So Joe left, and I was like, I'm going to go to the lodge. Do you know what I mean? So went to the lodge. Oh mate, it was the nuts. Best, like, I think I was there 3 or 4 years. Like I said, I had some really good times there, some really good fighters there, like top fighters. Like I said, that's where I first come in contact with Reese.
Yeah, right. Shout out Reese Bailey. It's not his real name, but he calls himself Bailey now.
Yeah, Bailey, a.k.a. Reese Stacey Parchment or something like that.
Parchment was how I knew him, exactly, until recently,
And obviously, I boxed a few good lads in the amateurs. Obviously, I knew all the boys from Earlsfield because I was always around the circular. I used to go to, back in the day, when it was the nuts. The amateurs back then was the bollocks, when they're like, you'd go to York Hall for the ABAs and you'd have all like the Repton boys in their tracksuits, all the Earlsfield boys in their tracksuits. You'd have like everyone in their stuff and like them doing their thing. And
sorry, mate, can I just move this out of the way because we're on the camera? Is that all right?
Oh, sorry.
No, you're fine, mate. Cheers. That's all right, mate. If I just move it out there and you can take as long as you want, mate. Thank you. That's all right, mate. Featured appearance on Squeeze the Neck.
So it was a nuts, like the amateurs there. I mean, everyone used to have their own like identity. Like you'd know all the clubs. Like Dell Youth had their red. Obviously West Ham had the claret and blue. Like and
you'd hang out by the Shell garage opposite and all that business.
I'll be in the cafe. But it used to be the nuts, mate. They were the best times. I weren't at that level then. There was sort of like elite London like thing, but you'd always be at the ABAs and like everyone sort of knew each other. And obviously that's where I got to know all the boys. Obviously Ricky Boylan, like he was from the area anyway, but we sort of never really knew each other until boxing.
Are you the same age as you and Ricky?
I'm 38. I think Ricky's a couple of years younger.
Is he? Okay.
I think Ricky, he looks older than me, but
Does he?
he looks older than me. But he's obviously Rick's like, I think Ricky's 35 or 34 maybe. He might be about that age, but he was. I don't know actually. He might be a bit older, but
I think do you know what I'm saying? I think he's probably. I'm 34. I think he's probably 36, something like that. He's probably sitting in there somewhere. So I met him through that, and then like I said, obviously boxed Reese as an amateur. Reese pinged me about the place, bashed me up. Don't say that on him, mate.
He did. He bashed
go to his head. Don't say that to him.
He done me. I tell him all the time, and what he'll laugh when I tell you this as well. I remember it must have been about a year later. We was out. I went out on the piss with my mates, right? So I've gone out. We've all been out like all night drinking or whatever, and they like set me up, mate. Yeah, they rang me and was like, oh yeah, what happened with you and like Reese in the book? And I was like, oh, he beat me, blah blah blah. So anyway, the next thing I know, we've parked up outside Reese's house. Yeah, but imagine Reese has come out with a pair of gloves.
Like ready to go, like ready.
Yeah, and I'm like, what's going on here? And they're like, oh, what, you should spar with Reese, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so I jumped out. Me and Reese had a tear up in his front garden, mate. But I was half lagging. He fucking bashed me up again.
2-0 now.
Yeah, he bashed me up again. Yeah, he's 2-0 against me. The fucker. I might take up jiu-jitsu to try and get one back on.
He's doing quite well there as well.
I've got a while to catch up yet. So I boxed a few decent lads in the amateurs. I didn't do much there. And then, how did I come about turning pro? I'll tell you what happened. Ricky Boylan turned pro. And at that time, me and Rick were like quite knocking about quite a bit together. Like, we was obviously out clubbing and doing whatever else he was doing. And Rick turned pro when he went to the TKO.
That's
and
right,
yeah. And I thought, do you know what? I want to turn pro. Like, why am I waiting about with this amateur shit? Because I weren't no good as an amateur. Like, I think I was better suited to the pros, to be honest.
How many amateur bouts did you end up having?
I think I had about 18 or something. Right. And like, it was like half and half record. I probably lost more than I won, to be honest. But I just thought, this ain't for me. Like, not even for me, but I used to beg Mick Carney to put me in the ABAs, and he used to be like, mate, you're not going to the ABAs. Like, because I weren't good enough. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
He used to be like, Connor, you're not good enough for the ABAs. He used to always tell me to go back to Rose Hill and all that stuff. And I used to be like, oh, come on, Mick. Like, but he never would have it. So I remember I got beat in the novices. I got beat by Sam Standing, who was an army boxer. But I thought I beat him, and I know him now. I'm a good mate to Sam now. I love Sam, good fella. But I thought I won that fight. They gave it to him, but I came to the ring with like a pair of sequin shorts, right, like skirt shorts. And I remember another funny story with Mick. Mick was like, oh, I bought some shorts, Mick. And he was like, all right, what colour are they? And I was like, black and white, lodge colours. But what I didn't tell him was that they were skirt shorts. And he was like, all right. And I was like, do you want to see him? And he was like, no, it's all right. Because I knew he wouldn't have cared. Like, if I went there skirt shorts, he'd have been like, no, mate, no way. So I showed they're black and white, Mick. And he was like, yeah, all right, no problem. Like bring him to you can wear them or whatever. And then we got to the, it was at a little army barracks in near Addington Way. And was it an army barracks? I can't remember. I think it might have been a youth club or something like that. But we got there, and Mick was like, right, everyone get ready. Like, because Mick never used to actually pad us or anything. He'd just go out and sit ringside. Just his presence alone was like enough to make you want to do.
Well, he would be getting on right on by then, right?
Yeah,
how old was
Mick
he?
Was probably, I don't know. I can't remember how old he was at that time, but he was obviously always in a suit, always looking absolutely crisp, fresh, and pristine. Like, you know, everyone knows what Mickey was. He was a mentor. You know, Mick weren't like. By the time I was there, Mick was past the pads and all that stuff. Yeah. But you'd be on the bag, like I'd be smashing away at the bags. Mick would walk past, and I'd be trying. I'd hit 1,000 times trying to impress him, and he'd walk up to me and go, "Son, 1-2. That's all you got to do. 1-2. You're quick. Just go 1-2." And I go, "All right, Mick, right." Then I'd spend the rest of the day just doing the 1-2. You know, like looking at him, trying to get him to notice me. You know. And I remember this fight. So I've got obviously in the changing rooms, got the black and white shorts. So he's gone out of the changing rooms. I put the shorts on, and I thinking I'm clever. I remember walking to the ring, and I had Adam Martin in my corner. I think Rygate might have been there as well, but I know Adam was definitely there. We walked to the ring, and I remember Mick, like, as I walked past him, he looked at me, he looked at my shorts, went like that, and then like double took. And he like looked at me and he went, like shook his head, nodded at me as if to say, all right, that's how you're playing, that's what you're doing, yeah? He was like, okay. And I remember seeing Mick going over and talking to the judges, and I remember thinking, I remember thinking, what's he talking to them about? You know, like, and obviously I boxed and I got beat. And I remember when I was coming out the ring, Mick went to me, he went, Mr. Big Shot. He went, Mr. Big Shot with the shorts. He went, how stupid do you look now? How stupid do you look now? He went, go back to Rose Hill. He used to go call it Rose, like never used to go to Rose Hill. He'd say like Rose Hill. Like, you go back to Rose Hill. He went, don't come back to the lodge. I was like, all right, Mick. Anyway, the next week I come back in. I remember walking in, and you know when you walk in, he used to have the desk, didn't he, by the changing rooms? I remember walking in, and he just sort of looked up and like looked at me like that. I shook his head like that, and I walked into the changing room. I remember going in and getting changed and that, and it was right. And then when else did I box? I remember another time I boxed for Mick. We boxed at the Porterton rooms. Okay. You know, remember them?
No, where's that? What's that one?
It's in like central East London, like I think it's like Barbican area.
Okay.
It's like a dinner show.
Yeah, right,
anyway,
right. Okay.
So he's got these Americans over, and he went, was it the Americans or was it the police? It was the police, we thought. And he went to me, I remember there was me, another fella called Mohammed Al Saidi who could punch a bit. And we was in the changing room and he went, right, Connor, you know, you're fighting this kid. But he was like 6-1. It was my first, and I had 2 fights against All-Stars. At their gym, at our gym on our home show, I lost. The kid had 9 fights, lost 9. And he beat me, right?
Ooh, that's tough to take, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, Vic was fuming, mate. And then he went, I want to get you the rematch. You better beat him or you're out, right? So I was like, all right. So I boxed him on his show, and I thought I won the fight, and they give it to him again. But Mick was like, no, you won that. I'll allow you to stay or whatever. And we had this fight at the Porterton room. So you bearing in mind, I've come from the Rosehill to the Lodge. I've had 2 lost to. Like, I'm desperate for a win here.
Yeah.
So Mick's like, right, I've got you a bout. You're fighting this fella. I went, all right, Mick. He went, don't go mad. He was like, I just want you to box. I went, all right. He went, don't stop him. Yeah, and then when he's gone, don't stop him, I thought, well, fucking hell, like, why has he said that? You know what I mean? Like, I'm in my mind, I'm trying to contemplate, I'm trying to work it all out. I'm thinking, is he that shit that like Mick's saying don't stop him? Like, or is he thinking that I'm the bollocks now? Do you know, like, have I got that good since I've been in the Lodge? Like, I was proper trying to analyse it. And then I've gone out there, first round, I'm catching a fella, bing, bing, like, mate, looking like fucking Cassius Connor, do you know what I mean? Catching him with these shots. And the refs give him a count. Like, he's counting him. Anyway, he's come out the second round. I remember Adam Martin went to me, Dan, don't stop him. And he was like, don't stop him, just move around. Like, use your jab. He was like, you're better than him, just work on the jab. And I was like, yeah, right, I had no problem. I remember going out and the geezer caught me. He was a bloke. He caught me with a good shot. And I thought, fuck this. I just steamed into him and the ref stopped it. And I remember getting out of the ring and feeling like fucking the nuts, right? I've walked out, yeah, and Mick, as I was walking down the thing, he was standing there like this, in the corridor as I walked down, like that, and he went, oh, you're hard. He went, stopping someone like that. He went, you should be ashamed of yourself. What did I tell you? And I went to say what you told me. He went, I know what I told you. He was proper tearing lumps out of me. The only thing that stopped him was that Al Saidi was in the ring doing the exact same thing to his fella that I'd just done. So he went, get to the showroom. He's run up the ring. He's like, no, you dense bastard, to this Al Saidi. No, you dense bastard. He's going to him. Yeah? No, like shouting at him, right? So Al Saidi stopped his fella and all. So then we're in the changing room and Mick's come in and there's like 3 of us he's giving bollockings to, right? So we're all in there. We're like, Mick's standing there, bollocking us all, right? So he said something to Al Saidi and I started laughing and like under my breath. But you know, like when you're getting told off by the teacher and you're like trying not to laugh. And he said something to Al Saidi and I smirked and he turned. I remember he just went, he went, you are the worst boxer ever to wear a lodge vest. He went, and I was like, fucking hell. Do you know what I mean? He went, don't ever come back. He was like, I mean it this time, don't ever come back. He was like, you better never come back through that door again. He was like, I'm sending your card back to Rosehill. So I remember I walked out and I didn't come back in for like a week or whatever. I remember Adam rang me and was like, where you been? And I was like, oh, Mick told me not to come back. And he was like, just come back. He was like, he'll be all right. He was like, calm down a little bit, come back. So I remember I come back to the gym. I remember walking in with my bag, and I remember as I opened the door and walked in, you know, like if you went into the lodge where the door sort of like it closes, but it like bounces a couple of times.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I remember looking the door, and all I remember was hearing the door, and Mick was there on the phone in the office, right? And I remember the door went, and he just sort of looked up from the back of the gym and looked straight through and just see me. And I remember he was looking at me like that, and he went. And I almost like watched his mouth go, I'll call you back. And he like put the phone down like that. And I remember walking up thinking, he's seen me now, it's too late. Do you know what I mean? I've got to go in now. So I walked up the gym, like shuffled up, and I got to the gym door and he went, Connor? And I went, yeah, Mick. And he went, come here. Yeah, and I walked into the office and he went, I'm sorry for saying what I said. He was like, next time you better listen. And I was like, all right, Mick, I'm sorry. He was like, go away. I went and got changed.
Back in the club.
Yeah, I got in and I was like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders, you know what I mean?
And what's the story behind that? Why have you not had to stop this boy? What's the second wrong
Because
with him?
Mick had good relationships with everyone. You don't meet a man that didn't have the highest respect and the highest love for Mick Carney. You know, I can guarantee you, obviously you're an Ellsfield boy,
Yeah.
so Sid and Mick were best mates.
Yeah.
Like, you know, everyone, you know, Mick was a man like that everyone held in high esteem, and he had relationships with everyone. So knowing Mick, he's probably spoke to this fella who's doing the police, because we used to have quite a lot of policemen that used to come down to the Fitzroy Lodge. Like the station used to be around the corner.
Oh, right,
so we used to get, in the daytime, you used to get loads of the police come in and train. And even we used to have like some carded boxers. Obviously I won't say the names because I don't know if they wanted everyone to know their thing, but there was like some good fighters there that were police. And so Mick, I can imagine, has probably spoke to them and they've gone, oh, we've got this kid, he's not very good, can you match him? Right. And he's probably thought, I'll stick him in with Connor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he's gone, Dan, don't take the piss, like, because I weren't bad. Do you know what I mean? I weren't too bad. Like, I was always quite awkward and quite hard to hit, but I'd make him miss and I wouldn't throw back, and that was my problem. But yeah, so I can imagine that's what probably happened, and I've gone in there and not listened to him, and that was probably what pissed him off the most. I didn't listen. Yeah. I went in there and stopped the fella, and that was it. But luckily for me, touch wood, I got back in there.
Yeah,
I mean?
But it's funny you say that, like when you're like nervous about speaking to him, like Sid during the pandemics when things were starting to open up. Like I went in Elsfield for some training and whatever, and I text Sid like, "I'll come down and do some training, blah blah," and he rung me back, and even then I'm like 30, and the phone's ringing, and I'm like, "Fuck."
Do you know what? When I Sid to me was always like the head honcho at Elsfield, like. And obviously he turned out some absolutely fucking brilliant boxers. Like you think of what Sid done in one, just as far as I knew him, right? But you look at, was it Adolphe, Kirk, and was it Joe that won the ABAs all in 1 year?
All in the same year, yeah.
In 1 year, like, mate, tell me a coach has done that. Like, and I remember, like, he had some brilliant boxers in there from young, like Luke Bates, Lee Bates, remember them?
Yeah, they were just before me. They were sort of just as I was starting.
Luke Bates, right, as an amateur, won like as a junior. Not even a junior, like a minor. I think he won the Europeans. He was unreal. Lee Bates is unbelievable as well. Like they had obviously Boylan, David Groom, obviously Dave and Aaron Khan.
Yeah, of course. Again, a little bit before me, but
yeah. They obviously had Brad Skeet, Louis Adolphe, the Garveys.
Right.
Like they had a kid called Leon that was really good at one point.
Yeah.
Luke Dawson.
Yep.
Yeah, he was a really good amateur as well. You think all of them boys come from nothing from Sid, you know, and you got to have respect for that. And you know what? It's funny you say that about Sid, because I remember when I beat Ricky, right? I see Sid at a show about, I think it might have been 3 months later. And I remember walking in and obviously seeing everyone there. It might have even been an Elsfield show, I'm not sure. But I remember walking in and seeing everyone there and seeing Sid. And Sid never really used to pay any attention to me as an amateur, because obviously I weren't very good. I was just another guy from the gym, and I was from Rose Hill, and notoriously Sid didn't used to really like the Rose Hill lot. And I remember seeing Sid, and he went like that. And I remember thinking, fucking hell, Sid wants me. So I walked over and I was like, "You're right, Sid." And he was like, "Oh, well done against Ricky. You done really well, mate." And he took like 5 minutes just to talk to me and tell me like that he thought I'd done well. And mate, honestly, leaving after that, I was like, felt like the bollocks, mate. Do you know what I mean? Because you know, Sid, people like Sid, Stevie Iser from the Fisher, Mick obviously, Tony Burns from the Repton.
Yeah, of course.
You know, they were Mick Delaney from was it West Ham or Dale Youth?
Dale Youth, I think.
Dale Youth, obviously. Who was the West Ham top man?
I can't remember.
I forget his name now. Forgive me.
I can't remember the name.
Yeah, I forgot his name now. But them like 5 or 6 people in boxing were like, they were like the godfathers of boxing. You know, like, and you used to go to shows and see them. Like seeing someone like, you know, Mick or Sid or Tony Burns at a show, to me was like the equivalent of like Alex Ferguson or you know, someone like that, because so much respect for them people. Even now, like, you know, if Sid come up to me and give me a clip round the ear, I wouldn't be, sorry, Sid, like, so he's mental. Like, there's a few boys that box at Repton now, at Elsfield now, that I send down there. There's a young lad called Danny Warren, a young little junior, and his dad's like a bit fiery. And I said to his dad, "I'll go down to Elsfield." And he was like, "Yeah, right, what's it like?" And I was like, "It's good." I was like, "But the main guy there, Sid, like, you don't have no shit. Like, if you go in the gym and you're messing about, like, he'll literally tell you, get the fuck out of my gym." Like, that's what he's like. I was like, so, like, if he's a bit rude, like, or, you know, if he comes across as being a bit off, like, just take it with a pinch of salt, because that's what he's like. And he loves the kids. He puts the kids first all the time. You know, he's a good guy, and he was like, "Yeah, right," and he's still there now. Like,
that's good, isn't
kid
it?
loved it, loved it down there. Like, and people, listen, at the end of the day, like, boxing needs people like them figures that, because that's what kids a lot nowadays. There's not a lot of respect.
Yeah.
And when they had them people like Mick, Sid, you know, they commanded respect, not even by the way they were or because they acted like hard or something like that, but just the way they were, the air of them and the mannerisms. You know, like I remember someone said to me the other week, I was going to get my car, I need to get my car MOT'd or something like that. And I think someone went, oh, Sid's got a garage. And I thought, fuck that, I ain't going in there.
But I've had
no, I ain't going
yeah.
in there. And he was like, why not? And I've just thought, nah, mate, he like makes me nervous thinking of going in there. Do you know what I mean? Like, I bet he gets loads of people going in there, but I bet none of them are boxing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
Everyone's scared of it. So yeah, that was like the amateurs.
100%. He's got there's people like you mentioned in the names like Tony Burns, Sid, Mick. Kind of. There's like an aura about them at shows.
Oh,
Wasn't
mate,
there? Like,
100%.
you'd feel it, and you would be kind of like. I mean, I wasn't that old, but I'm early 20s or whatever. You're still sort of like fucking hell. I don't want to walk past him to go to the toilet because in case.
I know. I remember like walking in and seeing Tony Burns in his tracksuit and thinking, oh, fucking hell, that's Tony Burns.
Yeah.
And I remember a bit like Ricky Beasley's like a good mate of mine from when we was kids, and I remember standing talking to at a show, and Ricky was there, and Tony was come over and said something to Ricky, and I remember like thinking, oh fucking hell, like, and he was like, oh, that's my mate Danny, he boxes for the lodge, and he looked at me, he went, the lodge, he went, why don't you come over to us or something like that, you know, like you're like having a laugh, and he was like, he just laughed about it, but I remember thinking, bloody hell, Tony Burns just spoke to me, do you know what I mean? Like in my mind, it was like a big thing, like them guys there, you know, the respect is so deep for them like they're like the stalwarts, the godfathers of amateur boxing.
That's it.
Obviously now, obviously a lot of them are gone. Sid's probably the only one.
He's younger than the most of them. He was like a young generation, so he's like going. But like with that as well, I've had like conversation with him after in change rooms after bouts. And like he's you know what Sid's like. Sid's one of them in the gym. You're fucking useless. You are. You can't even fucking punch straight.
Like
doing all that. Yeah, exactly. And then like after you've had a hard bout, sometimes he'd go, "You're fucking." Like wins. You'd have a win that's hard, and he'd go, "You're fucking useless." But then other times he'd come to you and he'd just give you the right little bit, and you'd go, "Yeah, fucking."
I remember Mick said to me, I can't even remember Mick giving me. I'll tell you, the only time Mick ever gave me good feedback was when I turned pro. Obviously, we get into it, but I lost a few of my first pro fights, and then I started winning a couple. And I remember it was just before I fought Ben Zarakani. I remember him from the amateurs. He used to box for Harringay.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
And I beat someone, and Sid was like, not Sid, Mick. I remember going to the lodge with my bag, because I used to do a bit of training in there when I went with my trainer. And I walk in, and Mick was sat outside the cafe. You remember the cafe by the lodge?
Yeah.
He was sat outside having a cup of tea and a sandwich. And he was like, all right, I walked past. I was like, all right, Mick. And he was like, yeah, where you going? I was like, just going into the gym. And he was like, he went, don't worry about the gym today. Sit down and have a cup of tea and a bit of food with me. And I was like, all right. And I remember, like, even now, I was like, fucking hell, like, I'm sitting with Mickey, can't hear, mate. Do you know what I mean? And I sat down, put my bag down, and had some food and that with him. And I had like I think I don't know what he had, but I remember sitting and eating. He was like, what do you want? I've got some food. I was talking to him, and we just spoke about boxing, about me as a pro and that. And he was like, I really think you could do really well as a pro, like you're coming on. And do you know, like to hear that, like as a guy who'd lost like 3 or 4 first my pro fights, it was like I was like unbelievably like I was just so honoured to have hear him say them good things about me. And he was like, yeah, you're gonna do this and do that. And then I remember he passed away just before I fought Ben Zarakani to level my record up. I was 5 losses, 4 wins and a draw. I remember going into the Zarakani fight and I had Mick on my top, and obviously when I beat him, I remember thinking, oh, that's for Mick, you know what I mean? Got the 5 and 5.
Nice.
But he was like, yeah, them guys were just unbelievable, mate. Yeah. The way that they make you feel, but just talking to you or looking at you.
Yeah.
I remember, like you said, you'd be smashing the bag, going mad, and Mick would come past, right? And he'd stand there and look at me like that, and I'd be like, and she'd think, oh, that's fucking, I lick the bollocks here, smash. And I'd look at him, and he'd be standing there, and I'd turn around, and he'd go, and just walk over.
Don't say nothing.
What's he doing, mate? Like, I mean, oh, for fuck's sake, like, I tell you, when I'd come out, he'd go, anytime I'd give him, he'd go, Connor. I go, yeah, Mick, and he'd go, 1, 2. That's all you got to do, 1, 2. Okay, Mick, no problem. But it was a nutshell.
I remember Sid going, it wasn't me. I will say it wasn't me, but I'm going to say that anyway, right? But he said, he looked at someone, he went, "Oi, mate, you." He went, "Badminton." Badminton, that'll do for you. Do some badminton.
Fuckers, isn't they? So, they've got that cutting humour, haven't they? Like that old-fashioned cutting humour, mate.
Yeah. But then you, like, obviously, you said about your pro. Because that's one thing you said, like, you boxed Reese in the amateurs and Ricky as a pro.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, the weight difference between them. What was you boxing at in the amateurs and what did you do pro?
In the amateurs, I was like 69.
Right.
Joe Harley, my old Rose Hill trainer, always used to say to me, "You'll do 64."
Right.
I used to be like, "Yeah, all right, whatever." But obviously I was eating shit. Not much difference when I was a pro, to be honest. But I was eating shit and just playing at it. And I was like, "No, I'll never do it. I'll never do it." And when I turned pro, obviously, and I ended up doing 61. But when I was 64, Joe was always like, "I told you you'd do 64. I told you, didn't I?" I always used to say to you, and I was like, "Yeah, you."
Was that straight away when you turned pro? Did you go straight away 64?
No, when I turned pro, I think my first few fights were like 69 kilos. I boxed, in my first ever fight, I boxed Daryl Setterfield. Do you know him?
No.
Good fighter Daryl Setterfield was. He knocked out Darren Hamilton, who was British champion.
Yeah, I knew Darren from a gym up in Farringdon.
Lovely fella, Darren. And a right awkward fucker. He was playing a tune on Daryl Setterfield's head, mate, binging him around the gaff. And Daryl just come out of nowhere, bop, knocked him spark out. Yeah, but obviously Darren went on to win the British.
He beat Fearfane, didn't he, for the title?
Yeah. Darren was a really good fighter, mate. Awkward, really awkward. And then, I turned 69. I boxed like middle welterweight sort of area. I lost my first. I drew with Daryl Setterfield, who was like a right handful. I remember turning pro with Bruce Baker, who was. Do you know Bruce Baker? He sort of fell out with a boxing board, and he was the one that promoted Hay and David Hay and Chisora.
Yeah, the unlicensed one at West Ham. Yeah. Or Luxembourg or whatever it was.
So he was the guy behind the Luxembourg Federation.
Right.
So I turned pro with him. Obviously before that, in Tooting with James Cook.
Okay.
Do you know the school was Nightingale School?
Yeah.
He was in there.
That's it. Yeah.
So
I'm from that area. I'm from Aylesford. Yeah.
So I was in there. It was me, James Cook, Franklin Agobi, a big heavyweight from Nigeria. There was Dillian White had just turned pro. He used to come up there. A fella called Idi Achuku. He was good. He used to box for Lynn as an amateur.
I remember him. Yeah, I remember that kid. Yeah, long arms. Is that the guy with really long arms? Didn't he? Like a long build. Yeah.
Yeah. There was. Do you know Swiper? Michael McPherson.
Don't know. The name rings a bell, but I can't place it.
He used to go to Aylesford as well. He used to be in there a bit, like eating the bags and that. Like it was a little bad little gym. I had my first one against Setterfield. Obviously, I drew it, but.
And sorry, where did you train for your pro fights, mate? Where did you go?
I trained in Nightingale.
There. So right, okay.
Yeah. So and Marcus Lufa. You know Marcus Lufa?
No.
There's a kid called Shiloh and a kid called Yashua, who's from Tooting.
Right.
Yashua's like European champion. Okay. Like he's done really well as an amateur. His brother Shiloh was like, I think he might be 7-0 or something like that as a pro.
Right.
He was with Matchroom at one time. He had a little bit of time out. He's come back now. But their dad, Marcus, who now has TM boxing gym in Tooting, Mitcham Tooting area. He was the strength and conditioning guy there, so he used to do all of our stuff like that. And then I left that gym because James Cook, who was the head trainer there, he does a lot for charity, James, and he had the Pedro gym over in Hackney as well. So sometimes he'd be there, sometimes he'd be with us, and I just needed someone that was going to be there all the time. So
was you a full-time pro from the off, or were you still working?
I was working as a scaffolder, and then when I turned pro, I just thought, you know what, I'm going to go for it. So I just went as a pro. He said just do bits and pieces to earn a few quid, and then I went up to the TKO, followed Ricky up to the TKO. It was a wicked gym. I remember going there, and the geezer who ran it, Johnny Eames, was just like, yeah, come in. He was like, I was like, I want to fight out of here. Like I'm a pro 0-1. That was where Daryl Setterfield was from. Right. And he was like, all right, cool. Yeah, you box Setterfield and you're a pro. Like, yeah, you can train with us. But he didn't give me a trainer. He was just like, yeah, keep coming. See how you get on. So later information, Johnny went in and was like, nah, fuck him. I'm not going to give him a training straight away. We'll see how serious he is. If he keeps coming, we'll see what happens.
Because that's a fair trek for you. Like
Canning Town,
getting
mate,
over there, that's a hell of a
Canning
trip.
Town. So I went to.
How are you for time, mate? We're good.
Sorry, no, yeah, fine.
Yeah, right, mate. You let me know.
No, it's cool. I went over to Canning Town, and obviously every day I was going there. I think I was there for about 2 months before anyone even
looked at it sort of thing.
Yeah,
because that's what I've heard about. I never went there myself, but TKO, I heard it was quite cold, wasn't it? It was quite a cold place.
It was and it wasn't. Do you know what I mean? Because I used to get on with all the other fighters, like Billy Morgan, Kevin Mitchell, Akash Bhatia, Billy Joe Saunders, Freddie Turner was there. Yeah, Freddie Turner was there. Kevin Mitchell, Vinnie Mitchell, like all the boys. Jimmy Tibbs, Mark Tibbs, like, and then we had Derek Granger, Georgie Jupp, Ricky Boylan, Michael Maguire was there. Like the gym was full of good fighters. Right. Nathan Weiss. The gym was full of like good kids. Like it was the place to be. So I remember one of the trainers from the gym, Alec, who was my long-time trainer. He was there he used to train Matt Jack and a couple of other lads, and he come over and was like, look, I'll train you. He was like, I'll help you out. I've seen you in the gym. I'll take a chance on you. So that was it, mate. We started doing our thing, and that was it. Yeah, that's where I started with Alec. But I remember my first football after the Darryl Setterfield fight. I lost 4 on the spin with Alec.
Right.
But I was boxing good fighters. I boxed Adam Battle, who was like a good amateur, like an ABA open class amateur. I boxed Terry Holmes, who's Billy Joe's brother-in-law, who was also a good amateur, open class amateur or junior. I boxed Adam Little from Manchester, who was like a junior ABA champion. I boxed, that's 3. Who else did I lost to Matthew McAllister, who was Lee McAllister from Scotland, who was a good fighter, was his brother, but Scottish ABA champion. So I was because I couldn't sell tickets, so right. I had to go on the road and sort of try and get the away wins. So I boxed them lot. Who else was it I boxed? I can't remember who it was now. I'll remember later, but yeah, I boxed them guys, and I got beat. I was like 4-1 or something like that. And I remember Alex saying, because I weren't running, I was just fucking about. And Alec was like, look, after I boxed Matthew McAllister in Scotland, he was like, look, mate, like, I think this is the end of the line for me and you. And I was like, well, why? And he was like, look, I'm not being funny, like, I like you as a kid, like you as a fighter, but you're not giving it your all, like, so you have to find somewhere else to train you. And I was like, please. And he was like, no, that's it, like, we're done. And I remember coming out of the gym and just being lost, like thinking, fuck, what am I going to do now? And I remember I was ringing him for about 2 weeks, like, oh, please, let me come back. And I remember eventually he was like, look, come back to the gym. You got one chance. And then after that, obviously, I changed management as well, because obviously Bruce was a bit out of favour with the boxing board. And he was like, look, you best to go with Alec, because I think it will stand in your way, me managing you, which was a really good thing of him to do. And I went to, Alec started managing me and training me. So then he got me some fights where I was fighting the road warriors with the journeymen guys that weren't really coming to win. So I boxed a couple of guys actually. There were Ben Zarakani, obviously, he was making his debut. That was a 50-50 fight, but I beat him because at that point now, I'm running now and I'm doing things properly. So, you know, when you as a novice pro, if you're not running and you're not doing things properly, it shows in the results that you have. And obviously, when I'm in there, I get into water. Sorry. When I'm in there and I'm not getting the results that I'm getting, and I've started running, and now I'm getting the results. I'm starting to win fights.
And was the weight a thing with this? Like when you turned pro, they weren't too big for you?
They weren't too big. It was just me being a lazy fucker. Right. And that was it. But I started doing really well. Got to I lost to Tyler Goodjohn. Tyler Goodjohn was the other one I lost to. If he's watching this, he knows what I think about that one. I thought I won that one. But I like Tyler. Tyler's my guy now. I love him. But I thought I won our first one, but he got the decision. He obviously thinks different. And then, I was like 5-5. And then I started winning a few fights. And I remember Eddie Hearn had just started the prize fighter. And I thought, you know what? He was on Twitter tweeting about it. And I thought, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get everyone to fucking message him and go, get Danny Connor in the prize fighter. Well, that'll get me on the prize fighter, do you know what I mean? So, mate, I got everyone tweeting it. I was like, everyone retweet to Eddie, get Danny Connor in the prize fighter, blah, blah, blah. I remember one day I was on the tube, I remember exactly where I was at Canning Town tube station, coming back from the thing, and I remember Eddie tweeted, so who the hell is this Danny Connor then? Yeah, I thought, yes, I'm in, do you know what I mean? I'm in, and then he inboxed me, like, what's your number? So he rang me and he was like, look, mate, he was like, I love the fact that you've gone outwards and like you've grabbed my attention. He was like, I've had a look at you on BoxRec. He was like, I can see your record's a bit spotty, but you're on the rise. He was like, I'll give you a chance. He was like, he was like this first one. He was like, this prize fighter now. He was like, we're already full. He was like, but you can come in as a reserve. So it was in Wolverhampton. It was Adil Anwar won that one. Again, he beat Tyrone Nurse in the final. And I remember going up there. Jack Catterall was actually a spare with me.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so it was mad. Like I remember going up there, and me and Jack Catterall just sitting there chilling, like, fucking hell, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And then.
And how does that work? If there's a spare, what, you
Well,
spin a coin,
if someone gets a cut in the first
but I mean,
round,
between you two, would you like spin a coin
you
to see who
flip
goes
the coin,
in?
yeah.
Wow.
I think I won the coin toss.
Oh right, so you're next.
We flicked it first, and but you used to get $4,000 just for doing that. Just for oh no, was it $2,000? It was $2,000 just for being a reserve. So you'd go up there.
Yeah.
We didn't get in, but we had a couple of bags to do it. Fuck all. So after that, I was like, look, obviously I wanted to do the prize fire. He was like, look, I can't get you, obviously you didn't get in, but I'm going to get you a fight. He was like, stay ready. I was like, all right, cool. So then I remember about a month later, he messaged me like, do you want to fight Chris Evangelou? And I was like, yes. And he was like, wicked, you got him then. Southern Area title. I was like, fucking, this is the bollocks, mate. And I knew Evangelou because I remember going to watch a Haringey box cut at Ali Pali when Ricky Boylan beat Kevin Fennessy and then he lost to Sam Maxwell in the final. And Brad also had beat Evangelou in the, because obviously that was like, if you're interested in amateur boxing, that's like London boxing porn, Evangelou versus Bradley Ski.
Right. I think that was the first one as well. Was that the first ever Haringey Cup? I think
I think it was. Yeah, and I remember watching that, and Brad obviously beat him, but he always stuck in my mind Evangelou. It was really weird. And Eddie was like, "Do you want to fight Evangelou?" I was like, "Yeah, mate, fucking, yeah, like, I love it." Like, and so I remember that was it. Got on with Matchroom, boxed Evangelou, and I beat Evangelou. The first time was a bit contentious, like could have gone either way, but they gave it to me. I didn't know if I'd won it or not. I thought, did I or didn't I? But the March corner was like, you won that fight, trust me. So they give it to me on I think I won it by 97, 94. So it was quite like, weren't like.
It's quite definitive. Yeah, that's quite. You won that one, yeah.
And I thought, oh fucking hell, like so Southern Area champion.
No, this is light welterweight, right?
Light welter, 10 stone I was then. And I beat Tyler Goodjohn actually in a return over 10 rounds before that to win the Masters title. That probably was the fight that meant the most to me out of my whole career, even the Boylan fight. When I beat Tyler at York Hall at that time, I remember that like it was yesterday. It was the bollocks, you know, like it was roasting out in there. I remember how hot York Hall was that night, and it was like, that's the night I really look back on and think, oh, that was a fucking good fight as well. Tyler just come and had a proper go. Like tried to get me out of there, but I was on the back foot, slipping and sliding, and the referee with me, and I won the Masters, the British Masters title. Then I got off the back of that, I got the Southern Area.
Right. And what does that do paychecks? Does that raise your money when you start winning titles like that? Or not so much?
Yeah, it does, because when you're on the small hall, you sell tickets to get your money. You don't, your purse is defined by what you sell. But bearing in mind, when I first started, I think my debut, I sold like 24 tickets.
Yeah, right.
But when I boxed Tyler at York Hall, I done 200. First time I ever sold anything like that. Fucking hell, do you know what I mean? When I boxed Evangelou at Ali Pali, I done 300. We had the rematch at Wembley Arena, and I bashed him up in the rematch. Like, made a good job of it. I think I'd grown into being a light welterweight a bit more. And I was a governor in that fight. And I think if I'm honest, I think Chris could have probably done with moving up to welterweight. Right. Because I think he was dead at the weight. And it showed in there. I went in there and I was strong at the weight and Chris wasn't. And I capitalised on that.
Yeah. Did you get a day before weigh-in for that fight?
Yeah.
So that makes a big difference.
Because it was a title fight, yeah. I probably, when I went in there, I was probably 11.5 stone. Whereas I think Chris, to be honest, I don't know what he was, but his body wasn't the same as mine. Like, he looked chiselled and ripped to fuck at the weigh-in. Whereas I looked a bit normal, but then when I rehydrated, I now looked good and looked strong. Whereas he sort of just looked the same, like a bit more. And I could tell. I looked at his body and I thought he ain't done the weight properly, or he struggled. and like I said, I'd done him. I had him over with a body shot, and I nearly finished him. But he survived quite a fight. My first defence of the Southern Area. After that, I beat Chris, and then. Eddie rang me and was like, right, he was like, you're going to fight for the British title. And I was like, yes, like buzzing.
That's massive, isn't it? Jesus Christ.
He was like, but first, you've got to defend your Southern Area once more. And I was like, all right. And he was like, well, you haven't. He was like, but I'd prefer it if you did. And I was like, okay, cool. He was like, you're going to fight Darren Hamilton for the British. He was like, if you win this fight. So I had to fight Tony Owen. Tony Owen was my mate, my good mate from my
proper
local
mate,
area. Yeah, we went on holiday together. We grew up, I say we grew up. We boxed together. We knew each other from around the area when we was younger. But we was tight, we was quite close. And I should never have boxed Tony. Number one, because he was a good fighter. He always used to bash me up in the gym when we was amateurs. Him and his brother Lee. Lee was a good fighter as well. Tony was more of a boxer. Lee was more of a fucking puncher and a warrior. He boxed a kid called Simon Lucas as a pro. I think Simon beat him, but it was a fucking good fight. Like, really tough fella from Nottingham. He's another one I used to train with in Nottingham. So yeah, I boxed Tony, but I never wanted to box Tony. And I even said to Tony, do me a favour, step aside, like, give up your position as voluntary for me. So, and I can't remember who it was I would have fought. I would have vacated the title or something. I can't remember who it was, but it would have been better for me basically not to have fought Tony. Tony could have fought someone else and fought for the title next, but rightly so, Tony thought, I don't want to do that.
Right.
I want to fight for the title, and he thought he could beat me, which he did in the end.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we boxed. He beat me by 1 point. Proper good fight. I thought he won the fight, to be honest. He done the better work. And I felt like I'd lost. I think that's always a key. That's always a giveaway. If you're in a fight and you think, well, I've lost there, that is what it is. And, I remember he started really well the first four, and I remember coming back after like the fourth round, and I was like, in the first round he caught me with a headbutt, but I didn't know it was a headbutt obviously till after the fight. He caught me with a headbutt, fucking stuck me on my arse. I thought, fuck me, I didn't think he hit that hard. I've sparred with him loads. And then I went back at the end of the round, and Alec was like, he headbutted you. Like, it was a headbutt. Like, come on, you got to get yourself together. Like, and I remember coming back at the end of the fourth, and I just hadn't got to go in. I remember I sat down, and Alec slapped me in the fucking face and was like, fucking wake up. He was like, he's not your fucking mate. He's not your mate. Like, wake up. Like, and I remember he put water on my head, and it just woke me up. I was like, fucking hell. Like, it was like I'd been sort of, like, the first 4 rounds were just a blank.
Right.
He was like, wake up, it's time to go. Like, you need to fucking win this fight. You need to win these rounds now. You're 4 rounds down, mate. And I was like, fucking hell. Like, and I thought I clawed my way back into it. But then in the last round, Tony caught me with a shot. I say it was on my back. Like, when I watch it back, it caught me. I thought it caught me on the back, but I touched down. I didn't go over, but my glove touched the floor.
Right.
And they give a standing count. And he won by a point.
So without that, it'd have been a draw, and you'd have kept your title.
It would have been a draw. And to be fair, I felt like a draw could have been the right result. But take nothing away from Tone. Do you know what I mean? Because he boxed out of his skin. And do you know what? In a weird way, I'm happy that I'm part of something that was like a good night for him.
Right.
Like, I'm happy that he, like, I'm happy that I was involved in something that he can look back on and go, that was a fucking brilliant night. Mm-hmm. Like, do you know what? Even when I lost, like, it weren't such a bad sting to lose to Tony, because he was a lovely geezer and a nice fella, and he was my mate, so I didn't really care about losing to him.
Do you regret that a bit, taking it and not going just fuck that British title, give me the British title?
Yes and no, do you know what I mean? Because as a fighter, I was never one for ducking people.
Right.
I would have fought anyone, and I don't think I'd have been being true to myself if I'd have vacated. Like Eddie said to me, I'll vacate if you want, and I will do something else. And I was like, I don't know if I can handle it, Tony Roberts, fucking wanker. He used to give me so much stick online. Like, and a lovely fella now, he's one of my good mates. Love him to bits. You know Tony Roberts?
No, I don't.
He's a bit of a legend round the manor.
All right.
But he was like Team Owen at the time. And he was giving me stick online, mate, and I was thinking, you can't, like. But he fucking got in my head. But Tony beat me that night. And then the next fight after that, I boxed Tyler Goodjohn again in our third fight. He beat me. I did the weight all wrong for that fight. I was dead at the weight. I remember getting into the ring and just having nothing in me at all. And he beat me. There was nothing there. The shots weren't snappy. But fair play to Tyler again. No making excuses. Tyler boxed a wicked game plan. He boxed rather than the second fight when he come and had a go. He boxed on the back foot and he outslicked me. He made me come to him. And that game plan, on top of me being a little bit shot to bits because I hadn't done the weight properly. Like done me like a kipper, and he beat me.
Tell us about the battle of Carshalton, mate, because Ricky Boylan.
This is it.
That was the one, as I said, that was one. I was obviously on the other side for that. I can't remember where I was there. I remember watching the fight. I can't remember watching it on TV, whether I was there.
That was the next one.
Right.
I boxed on the night that I beat, what happened? On the night that I lost to Tony Owen, Ricky boxed, no, on the night that I lost to Tyler Goodjohn, Ricky Boylan beat Tony Owen, stopped him. Bit of a dodgy decision. I didn't think it should have been stopped, but it was fucking half 12 at night. Everyone wanted to get home.
Everyone wants to go home. That's enough. Yeah,
that's enough. Yeah,
that'll do, boys. Yeah.
But Ricky caught him with a good shot, wobbled him a little bit, and to be fair, he probably could have gone on to stop Tony because he wobbled him and hurt him.
Right.
So they stopped the fight. Ricky's the new Southern Area champion. So then I can't remember what happened. I think I had a couple of other prize fighters in the meantime. I went in and got beat. I got beat in the first round by Michael Devine, who I'm fighting him this time. So I think during that time, Ricky went and boxed Tyler Goodjohn, lost to Tyler. Then he boxed Tommy Martin, lost to Tommy Martin. No shame in losing to them because they were both.
Was Ricky Boylan undefeated when he went into box you? Was you his first loss?
No.
He'd lost
Ricky's
one before.
first loss was to Tyler Goodjohn.
Right. Okay, that was first.
And at this time, Tyler's now turned into some slickster.
Right.
And he's fucking Peter Simms done a really good job of him, turned him into like a good fighter. Got him boxing really well, and then so Ricky's lost to him. Then he's lost to Tommy Martin, which again, like stylistically, wasn't a good fight for Ricky. I didn't think. Tommy was like really good fighter. So then Ricky's come off of a loss. I've lost in the prize fight. I lost to Tony Owen, and lost to Tyler. But Eddie loves us. So Eddie's like, all right, what you were going to do now? You two are going to box. So I was like, all right, cool. So obviously boxed Ricky, and obviously we were mates. You know, me and Ricky.
Oh, you were mates before,
me and Ricky were good mates, mate.
I didn't notice. I didn't know whether it's neither before or what.
We were tight. Me and Ricky were tight. Like from like I said, when we was boxing and before, like when we was amateurs and early in our pro careers, me and Ricky was together all the time. Like we was good mates. And me, Ricky, his cousin Lee Bates, we was tight. Like we was always together. And obviously we went our separate ways and done whatever, you grow apart in life and you do your thing. And then, obviously we ended up boxing, and I was just stylistically all wrong for Rick. Rick, as an amateur, would have punched holes in me. And but as a pro, I think my style was just better. As a boxer, technically, and Ricky probably as a boxer was better than me. Like had that Sid Khan schooling where they know how to box. They've got that Earlsfield style. Ricky obviously was a bit more of a fighter, weren't he? But he was just all good on the night. He'd slowed down his feet a little bit from the amateur days, and I felt like he was all just right for me, and I beat him on the points, got him on a points decision. But it was wicked. The whole build up to the fight was really good. Like we had like the local area was all buzzing about it, talking about it. I'd done like 900 tickets on my own.
Did you? Yeah, that's serious, that, isn't it?
I know, mate. Fuck me. I wish I'd done that now. But and Ricky done not far off that. I think I beat you, Rick, and the ticket sales out for that one.
Yeah, brilliant, nice. Beat me in the ring and the ticket sales.
Yeah, like that. But I don't know. I think I'd done 900. So I remember that. I kept asking Eddie, I need more. And it was wicked. But like I said, like me and Ricky are tight now. We're good mates again. We was actually talking the other day about going out running again and stuff like that. Like, I like Ricky. I've got a lot of time for him.
Because I remember I was talking to Rick once. He had a professional fight on a Friday night, and he ran a London Marathon on a Sunday. Do you remember that one?
He's nuts, man.
He's mad.
He's a fitness freak. Yeah. And like I said, like when we was amateurs and we was a bit younger and like early in the pros, and we've sort of both got this ego that we want to be winners, we want to be the best. I think obviously things are a bit different, but now we're more mature. We've got our kids and our families, and we've settled down, and Rick's doing really well for himself, and I'm getting on with my life. Like we're tight again, like
that's nice, mate.
We're cool again. But that's nice. Yeah, really good fighter, Rick. Really good.
Good guy as well, and I like Rick.
Yeah, Rick's a good fella,
he drove me once. We boxed at the Hilton. Me, him, and one of the other boys, I think, boxed at the Hilton Park Lane. I think it was a Fitzroy show actually, like a dinner show and all that stuff. And we were starving, like trying to make weight, weren't we? And he drove up there. I remember we nearly ate about 3 buses on the way. So shout out Rick, he nearly killed me.
Did he have his little BM at the time?
Could have been. It was. I think it was a BM. Yeah, because he was like he weren't waiting for no one. It was like in and out.
He had a little silver BM.
It could have been that. Yeah, it could have been. But shout out Ricky Boylan, mate. I hope you're well. Tell us about your fight coming up, mate. You got Michael Devine again. Yeah. Well, you boxed him twice, you say before.
Yeah, we boxed in the pros. The first time I boxed Michael, I was smashing the head off of him, and then he caught me with a headbutt, and I had 15 stitches in my eye. The doctor said I couldn't continue, so they stopped the fight. And then the second time, he beat me in a prize fighter.
And what was the decision on the cut? How's that work?
No contest.
No contest. Oh, right.
Yeah. But like I said, I've spoken to him since. I got no ill malice towards Michael. I would say, I was about to say I'll get on with him, but at the moment I don't, because I'm boxing him. So, I'm boxing him. So, but yeah, he caught me with a nut, opened my eye up, 18 stitches or 15 stitches or something. And then we boxed in a prize fighter, and he beat me in a prize fighter, and I'll take that on the chin myself, because I honestly thought I was just going to walk in there and ping him about the gaff and beat him easy. I well overlooked him. I fucking crushed the weight. Oh, mate, honestly, I won't even go into why. I won't even go into the details of it beforehand, because at one point, at some stage, I'd like to be a manager with the boxing board or something like that again. So I don't want to drop myself in the shit. But I didn't do the weight very well, and he made me pay for it. Walked onto a right hand, he had me over. I got up. I thought I won the other rounds, but the ref gave it to him. So fair play to him. He won the fight, and we're going to fight again in March, end of March.
Oh, nice. Where's that at, mate?
At the minute, it's supposed to be at Prism nightclub in Kingston.
Brilliant. Back at Oceans, if you're old enough, right?
Yeah. Oceana. But I think it might be getting moved to the week after on a Saturday at either Westcroft or the Tolworth Centre. But that's what we're trying to do.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Well, any links, mate, let us know. We'll put them below and send me. I'll be there for sure. Because you mentioned them earlier, Luke Dawson and Lewis Adolphi, they've got a gym around the corner from Prism.
It's actually something to do. I think it's actually something to do with I'm fighting on the Danny McLaren show.
Right. Okay.
So I think they've got something to do with it, because the gym and all that are all part of it. So they're essentially something to do with the promotion. So yeah, they're
brilliant. Yeah, I'm going to get down there. They're talking about doing a bit of an MMA space as well, aren't they? So I might see some grappling down there and whatnot. But I don't want to get down there with the boys anyway. I went down there the other day, but I went like an off time. But have you been there by any chance?
Do you know what? I ain't been there yet.
It's a mad place, big facility.
Yeah, it looks the bollocks. Do you know what? There's a couple of my mates have all just opened gyms. Luke and Louis have obviously opened their one in Kingston, and I've got another mate, and Ben Jock Young. He's got a gym just outside Kingston. And my other pal, Colin, and another fella called Malik, they've just opened a gym in Purley.
Okay.
That's
all going on.
Gym. Yeah, there's loads of gyms about. So that's the time if you want to get in somewhere. Nice. Any of them gyms.
New Era Gym, is that the one that used to be the booth gym? Is that the?
It's not New Era, it's called Next Gen.
I was going to say New Era is where Adam Martin is.
That's where
I went with Adam Martin. Yeah.
It's called Next Gen, and it's in Purley.
Right, I got you. Because shout out Lou as well, because I've always said like Lou was the most talented boxer I've ever seen up close. He was
Louis Adolphi.
Yeah.
Oh mate, he's class. I remember sparring him in my last ever fight I had against. I boxed Maxie Hughes.
Yep.
And I remember sparring Louis for that, and I remember just thinking how fucking strong he was, and I remember his jab was just like. Boom! Like it was so powerful, his jab. Like he'd throw it out and bang, and he'd catch you with his jab all the time. And he was class, Louis. Do you know, like when he lost to Shaq Day, I was shocked.
Yeah.
Like I was shocked, but I think Louis will say like he probably weren't doing what he should have been doing.
I think that was the issue because like talent wise, like again, like
mate,
how many times I sparred with him, you're going like, whoa,
unreal. Like the kid. The kid was there. Like
I've always said that about like people like in Earlsfield, like, and that's not criticising anyone, obviously, but of anyone I've ever sparred with at Earlsfield, Louis was like,
Brad was unreal as well.
Brad was
I remember sparring Brad at the TKO, and him just like, I was just playing eat the jab with him. Yeah. He was just making me eat that jab.
But Lou had a lot of power as well. Like Lou could hurt you as well. Like, Louis was different.
Louis was more spiteful.
He was vicious, yeah.
You know, like he got in there, and you could tell. Like I remember him as an amateur. He had such a weird style because he was like really upright.
Yeah,
he used to bounce like a rabbit. Like he was like that. And I remember him as an amateur, whereas Brad was a lot more textbook and like pop, like long. Well, I remember Louis, and I remember when he turned pro, thinking this kid's going to do really well. But again, you know, in boxing, in the pros, you can't burn the candle at both ends. It's either got to be one or the other.
That's it.
You know, and that is just how it is.
Well, he should have had 2 ABA titles too, Lou, as well. He got done the first time against, I think Danny Phillips, the kid, I think it was.
Yeah, it was Danny Phillips.
He was out in like,
was it
Essex somewhere?
Yeah, good fighter, Danny Phillips.
He was a good tough fighter, but I think they done him, and I'm biased anyway, right? But I think Lou beat him that day, and they didn't give it to him.
I remember that fight. I remember being there for that. I think I missed that. But I remember thinking Danny Phillips was from Newcastle, if I'm right.
I think so, yeah.
From Newcastle,
I think he was, yeah.
But yeah, look, mate, listen, Louis is fucking unbelievable talent.
Yeah, class.
So get down to the gym.
Get down to Kingston. I think it's Kingston ABC, isn't it? It is Kingston ABC.
I think it's called Kingston Boxing Centre.
Kingston Boxing Centre. There you go. Fuck
Yeah.
that up, man.
Yeah.
But mate, thank you very much for
Nice
doing
one.
this. I really
Cheers,
appreciate
brother.
it, mate.
Thank you.
As I say, any links below. Before we finish, I don't know if you've seen any of these. I will ask one question, and I saw your story, so I think you're going to give me a good answer for this
Go
one.
on.
Which football team do you support?
Man United, mate.
No way. I thought you
Yeah.
were going to say Chelsea to me.
Nah,
What was last night?
I took my little boy. My little boy. Listen, I'll just tell you the story before we wrap up. My little boy, I've been breeding him to be a United fan for like his life, and then his granddad Huey got involved, got him a Chelsea top, and poisoned him against me.
Well, there you go.
And
I think I like him and his granddad better than I like you.
Now he's a
Good
Chelsea
mate.
fan, mate. I'm fucking gutted.
My God.
But he's a Sutton United and Chelsea fan.
Is that
so,
right? Sutton
yeah.
United's his first team, Chelsea's the reserve team. But
he
mate,
loves it.
as I
Nice
say,
one.
I
Cheers,
really
mate.
appreciate you, mate. I
Top
always
man.
finish with a fist up like this, Dan.
Top man. Cheers,
Squeeze
mate.
the neck. Boom!